The Industrial Revolution describes the change in economy, technology, and culture that began in mid-18th century Britain. These changes spanned over 200 years and included new uses for metals such as iron and steel, and new energy sources like oil, coal, and steam. Advancements in transportation and communication fueled a period of mass production and growth of new ports and cities. International trade and economic diplomacy was on the rise, while the common use of slavery, child labor, and unsafe working conditions sparked regulations and labor unions to be formed. The Industrial Revolution was a great advancement for humanity, but there is no way to measure the true cost of the world's resources and the long-term implications that their use will have on the environment and its inhabitants.
Industrialization is the process by which technology is substituted for manual labor as the basis of production of goods. So this means that industrialization is the process of replacing manual labor with technology as the primary means of production. It's not simply a technological shift, but a fundamental transformation impacting various sectors, from agriculture to manufacturing. It highlights the use of NCDs such as the proportion of the labor force engagement in agriculture to measure the nation's level of industrialization. However, it is also acknowledged that industrialization is a more complex phenomenon, just like technological advancement, encompassing broader social, economic, and political changes. All of Great Britain's early industrialization is cited, emphasizing the movement of workers from rural areas to factories and the subsequent spread of industrialization globally through diffusion. Clark Kerr's observation. Kerr's statement establishes a quantitative measure of industrialization. A nation becomes more industrialized as the proportion of its workforce engaged in manual labor decreases. So this means that the more people working in the factories using technology, the more industrialized the nation is.
Good morning. Industrialization can be considered as a linear pattern of social change because it typically follows a specific sequence of stages. Like for example, China today is, as indicated in the previous section, the concept of modernization is a more comprehensive terms that covers industrialization and the other concepts such as economic growth or development and the political, social, educational, and other institutional changes associated with industrialization. Here's the impact of industrialization as a linear pattern of social change can be seen in various aspects of society, like in economic growth. Industrialization leads to increased economic growth, job creation, and improved standards of living. Another is technological advancement. The sequential stages of industrialization drive technological innovation. It leads to improved productivity and efficiency. Urbanization. The growth of cities and urbanizations lead to increased access to education, healthcare, and other social services. Social inequality. Industrialization can exacerbate social inequality as those who own the means of production tend to accumulate wealth and power.
We consider that industrialization is a fluctuating pattern of social change because it is not a linear process, but rather involves period of rapid development followed by slowdown, adjustment, and even regressions, impacting various aspects of society like demographics, labor practices, and social structure. It is also bringing rapid transformation, often resulting in both positive advancement and negative consequences, leading to a period of social adjustment and adaptation as societies try to manage the economic and social impacts of new industrial practices. For example, the move work to work and place to place, or we call industrialization. They also have an impact in social change like urbanization for the reason that factories emerge. People migrated from rural areas to cities in which of jobs, leading to rapid urban growth and overcrowding. Changes in farming, soaring population growth, and an ever increasing demand for workers lead masses of people to migrate from farms to cities. Another example is changes in population because of migration, marriage, or death. Changes of family structure for the reason that, according to Talcott Parsons, industrialization significantly changed family structure by transitioning societies from large extended families to smaller, nuclear families as the demands of industrial work required greater geographical mobility and a more specialized division of labor within the family unit, making the extended family structure less functional in a modern industrial society, which means that if a man typically take on the instrumental role as breadwinners, while women focus on the expressive role of managing the home, which fits well within a nuclear family structure.
Now let's talk about the existing cyclical patterns that is existing within the period of industrialization. Let's first talk about the economic state within the industrialization period. Societies often transition from an agriculture focused economy to manufacturing and ultimately to service industries. The effects of this shift is that as the manufacturing industry grows, the agricultural sector would often lose their labor force or will see a decline within their labor force. That is according to Kier in 1983. During this period also, new technologies emerge and production methods would demand for specialized jobs, which encourage the change within the economy. That is according to Moore in 1969. Within this period, many sectors would decline, but also many would also emerge. For example, the service industry would ultimately take the manufacturing industry's place and ultimately restoring and continuing the cycle. Now let's talk about the demographic composition of the industrialization period. Industrialization would ultimately trigger what we call a demographic transition, where there is a fluctuation of birth and death rates, which gives way to a shift within the population. However, this shift is ultimately not permanent. With the improvement of technology within industrialized locations, there is an improvement of healthcare services, which ultimately would lower death rates, leading to a more rapid growth of population. Over time, birth rates would decline due to the massive number of population within a particular area, and that is to ultimately balance the population itself. This cycle influences the market of the community and the growth within the area. Now let's talk about the social and family structures within the industrialization period. The process of industrialization would often reshape the structures within the society, the structure of the society. Nuclear families are often more favored in this type of environment, for they are more capable of mobilization rather than an extended family. Smaller families are more capable of adapting to the demands of a highly urbanized life. Within this period, there are also many shifts within social roles, such as there are an increase in participation of women in the workforce. However, many of these family structures present are not permanent, and we would often see many cases of many families being more diverse and blended, which ultimately creates a cycle of creating extended families and blended families rather than just favoring nuclear families.
So, in conclusion, industrialization was a big change in human history that affected the economy, society, politics, and the environment in many ways. So, it brought progress in areas like new inventions, business growth, and government changes following a straight path of development. But not all changes were smooth. Some changes followed a cycle where good times were followed by bad times and then improve again. So these patterns show that industrialization was not a simple process. So, it had both good and bad effects. It helped make more products, build bigger cities, and give people more voice in government. So, um, but it also caused problems like pollution, unfair treatment of workers, and economic struggle. So, understanding these changes help us see how societies grow and deal with challenges. And as technology and in industries continue to develop today, these lessons are still important. By learning from the past, we can make better choices for a fairer and healthier future.